Why people respect you more. When you stop explaining yourself, let your thoughts slow down. Now listen carefully. The moment you stop explaining yourself, something unusual happens. People listen more. They interrupt less. And without knowing why, they begin to treat you differently. This is not confidence training. This is not motivation. This is psychology. Most people believe respect comes from being understood. They believe that if they just explain clearly enough, others will see their intentions, their effort, their value. But the human mind does not work that way. Psychology shows us a different truth. The more you explain yourself, the more uncertain you appear. And uncertainty quietly destroys respect. From childhood, we are conditioned to explain. Teachers ask us to justify our answers. Parents ask us to justify our actions. Society rewards those who can defend themselves verbally. So explanation becomes a habit. But habits formed for survival are not always useful for power. When you explain, you are not only sharing information, you are revealing your emotional state. The human brain is highly sensitive to emotional signals. It listens less to words, and more to tone, pacing, and restraint. Over-explanation sends a subtle signal. It says, I am not fully secure in my position. I need you to understand me. I am afraid of being misjudged. You may not intend this message, but intention does not matter. Perception does. And perception decides respect. Here is the psychological shift most people never notice. The moment you start explaining, you unconsciously place the listener above you. You turn them into the evaluator, the judge, the authority, and you place yourself in the role of someone seeking approval. This changes the power dynamic instantly. Silence does the opposite. Silence suggests stability. It suggests certainty. It suggests that your decision does not require validation. The human brain associates calm restraint with competence and authority. This is why the most respected people often speak the least, not because they have less to say, but because they are not trying to convince anyone. Confidence does not rush. Confidence does not justify. Confidence does not over-explain. It simply exists. Think about silence for a moment. Silence creates tension, and the human mind hates unresolved tension. So when you stay silent, others begin to fill the gap for you. They project meaning. They assume depth. They assign value. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their expectations back at them. This is why silence feels powerful. Not because it controls others, but because it allows others to convince themselves. Now consider two people. The first person explains everything. Why they made a choice. Why they felt a certain way. Why they deserve understanding. The second person states their decision calmly and says nothing more. Who feels more grounded? Who feels harder to challenge? Authority is not built through explanation. It is built through composure. Neuroscience supports this. The brain interprets slow, deliberate speech and selective silence as signs of high cognitive control. High cognitive control is associated with leadership, competence, and trustworthiness. When you speak less, each word carries more weight. When you explain less, your presence becomes stronger. This is why leaders, judges, professors, and experienced professionals do not over-explain themselves. They state, they pause, they allow silence to do the rest. Over-explanation has hidden consequences. It invites questioning. It opens doors for debate. It signals that your position is flexible. People push where they sense movement. When you explain too much, you invite negotiation, where none is necessary. Boundaries weaken under excessive explanation. Silence, on the other hand, closes unnecessary conversations. It communicates finality, without confrontation. But this does not mean you should never explain. There is a difference between clarity and justification. Explain when you are teaching. Explain when you are guiding. Explain when information is required. Do not explain when you are defending your worth. Do not explain when you are protecting boundaries. Do not explain when you are seeking validation. Powerful individuals choose when to speak. They are not pressured into it. They are comfortable being misunderstood by those who are not meant to understand them. This is an uncomfortable truth. The need to be understood often comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being seen incorrectly. But respect does not grow from fear. It grows from self-containment. When you stop explaining yourself, you are not being rude. You are not being arrogant. You are signaling trust in yourself. And self-trust is contagious. Others sense it. They respond to it. They respect it. The next time you feel the urge to explain, pause. Ask yourself one question. Am I providing clarity, or am I trying to protect my ego? Silence is not weakness. Silence is controlled strength, and controlled strength is the foundation of respect. If this perspective changed the way you see power, subscribe to Dark Psychology Decoded, because understanding the mind is the first step to mastering yourself.